Hey there. Really excited to have you here. My name is Dr. Lizette Ojeda, and I want to talk to you today about something that is really important that not a lot of people talk about, but is one of the most obvious things that is needed to be able to succeed and to lead at your best while still being your authentic self, because there's nothing worse than in leadership than feeling like you have to pretend to be someone you're not, feeling like you have to hold a part of who you are back to make other people feel comfortable, to feel like that's what you just have to do to be able to make it, to be able to enter and occupy some space that you deserve, where you're not used to seeing other people occupy it. And so oftentimes you're one of the first or maybe just one of the few to be in certain spaces and places where you are not represented. And maybe it's similar in your own family background, where you are the first one in your family to um, break through walls, meaning I consider someone to be a first generation success when they have done one of these three things, if not all of them, which is often the case. They have surpassed education levels, income levels, and professional levels. So I want to talk about the last one, the professional levels. And so today we got to talk about what I call discovering your secret salsa. And that's basically figuring out who you are and what makes you amazing and how you can take that, package it up, and put it out there so that you can make the mark that you were made to make. Okay. The mark that you were made to make, the reason that you are where you are now without being held back. If you want to move up, which chances are you're a high achiever, you're ambitious, chances are you want to move up. And so I'm going to share with you today a few strategies to be able to do that. This is actually part of my signature talk for Hispanic Heritage Month. So if you still don't have a speaker for Hispanic Heritage Month, or maybe you're just now thinking about it, or like, and you don't want to be left behind, like most DEI focused companies are, that they have these different months to celebrate different heritages. And so we still have some spots left for that. If you're interested, just DM me and we can go from there. So, getting back to what I was talking about, one of the things that I see happen quite a bit in the Latino community is wanting to come across as humble. I call this the Hispanic humble hard work ethic, where we assume that as long as we put our head down, do the work, that somebody somewhere will recognize it, that it will speak for itself. And this is rarely what ends up happening. And while it may have gotten you here, it will not get you there. You don't want to be known as a busy bee. You want to be seen as leaderly. You get me? And I want to share with you a part of my signature speak, like I mentioned, my signature talk for Hispanic Heritage Month, because it's something that I want to be able to share with everyone, and not just those who are in the audience when I give talks. Okay, so let me tell you what it is. Hold on, tech here. Okay, here we go. And so this is part one of my talk. And I want to talk to you about the different pieces. I have this formula that really tailors in on the components that are essential for you to begin to feel more confident in yourself, for you to be able to be heard, and what comes out of your mouth is based on your zone of brilliance. It is based on your zone of brilliance, meaning that there is something amazing that you're going to contribute. There is something innovative that you're going to bring to the table. And you're not going to want to feel like you have to wait until you're tapped on the shoulder to share that with people, because you're going to feel so passionate about it. And you don't want to keep it a secret anymore. You do not want to be the best kept secret in your organization, in the world, quite frankly. That's how much of a belief I have in you. I don't know you, but I believe in you. And I know that if you have that hunger for more, there's more that could be brought out of you. It's just hiding inside. And so today I want to help bring that out so you can get your secret salsa out there and make a difference with it. Okay, let's get to it. So I call this the VIP's formula. And so here are the different components that you need to succeed, that you need to establish your unique value proposition, the thing that sets you apart from the rest. And look, I'm not talking about in an arrogant way. I'm talking about in a confident way, in a collaborative way, where everybody has their unique zone of brilliance and you are clear on what yours is and you want to contribute with it, just like everybody else. And honestly, when you hold back, you're holding back from helping the rest of the team progress. We don't want to do that. I know that's not your intention to keep that to yourself. I know what's going on for you. You don't want to risk sounding incompetent. You don't want to risk interrupting at the wrong time or feeling like you don't have your ideas clear yet or wondering whether you really are good at something and starting to doubt yourself. And so it just feels safer to hold back than to give in and put out your ideas. Okay. So we're going to address that right here, right now. Okay. So the first thing that you need to get really clear on is your core values, because your values guide your decisions. And so when you are clear on what matters to you most, you're going to be able to be more focused and tailored to the areas that matter to you most, the areas that are going to progress you the most. Because we are bombarded every day with requests, right? And so what you want is to be able to say, okay, this is something that's aligned with my values. This is not. A lot of the times when you are unsatisfied and unfulfilled and disengaged, it's because your values are being violated. Your values are being violated. Do you even know what they are in the first place? You have to be clear on what those are. Because if you don't, you're going to be making decisions based on impulse or based on what you see other people doing. And that is not sustainable. That is going to, what do you call it? Bite you in the long run. Okay. For example, one of your one of your values might be ambition. So if you're feeling unfulfilled, chances are that one of the reasons is because you feel stagnant. You feel like you're just coasting these days. And it may not be by choice. It may not be because there aren't opportunities for you. It may be that there isn't any. But sometimes it's even because you don't have the motivation and the drive anymore because you've been handling hard things for so long that it's starting to make you feel down and in the dumps. Another value might be work-life balance. And so it's not uncommon for values to conflict with each other. How do you have work-life balance when you also love working, when you are very ambitious? So you've got these two pieces. And so they need to work in harmony. Otherwise, you're going to be bumping heads with yourself in your brain. And you don't even realize that that's what's happening. Okay. We don't want to be fighting within ourselves because guess what ends up happening? You procrastinate because you've got these two values that are conflicting with each other. And you haven't been able to figure out how to come to peace with them so that they work collaboratively rather than against each other. Make sense? So get really clear on your values because your values guide your decisions. You also want to be clear on what your vision is for your career and your life, quite honestly, because your career is not separate from you. It's an extension of you, but it does not define you. Okay. You've got a life too. And so, what does that look like for you to pursue your career and also be healthy physically, mentally, emotionally, have a family if that's what you choose? Um, are you clear on what your vision is? And oftentimes, unfortunately, even among the most ambitious people, they're not clear what their vision is because they're so busy trying to manage the day-to-day tasks that the days and weeks and years escape them. And then they look back in December trying to understand what it is that they accomplished, and they feel like they were just putting out fires and trying to progress with the day-to-day requests. But their vision for their career, their growth has not occurred. They are not clear on where they're going. And hey, by the way, this has a lot to do with not having healthy boundaries, which is a topic for another day. Um, but your vision is very important because when opportunities come your way, you want to be able to be clear on what you say yes to and what you say no to. Because when you say yes to one thing, you are automatically saying no to something else. You get me? Um, and so we want to make sure that you're saying yes to the right things. And I get it. Sometimes you feel like there's pressure to just do the things when somebody asks you. You want to come across as a team player. You want to come across as helpful and as competent. Because if you say no, will somebody get upset at you? If you say no, will somebody not give you an opportunity next time? If you say no, well, they think it's because, well, she doesn't know how. That's why she's saying no. She's just saying she's busy, but really it's because she can't handle it. So many different things that are happening here. And my bad if I'm overwhelming you right now. It's just that I'm very passionate about this and people don't recognize all these different things that I'm talking about, but they're underneath the layer. And so I'm trying to bring it out to surface. And so if you are really enjoying this, please like this video, share it out, comment, tell me what's coming up for you, so I can answer your questions and talk more about the topics that are the things that are coming up for you. Okay. So once you are clear with your what your values are, you know what you're going to pursue and what you're not based on your vision. The next thing I want you to get clear on is your identity, your leader identity, something I'm really passionate about. And so, how do you want to show up as a leader, as a manager, director, VP, exec, any kind of leader? Okay. And people have this misconception that there's one way to look like a leader. Why is that? Well, to be quite frank, it's because when you look at leadership, what do you mostly see? I don't have to spell it out for you. There is not enough diversity. And so you assume subconsciously, you don't even recognize it. Uh, some people do, some don't. But suddenly you're talking a certain way that's not you. You're dressing a certain way that's not you. I don't see a lot of people with curly hair in certain positions. And so that used to make me feel like I have to straighten it. I got to pull it back. I have to tone it down. Can't dress in like colorful things like what I'm wearing now. I have to change my accent. And I'm done with that. I want you to be done with that too. So, how do you want to show up? Who do you want to be known at? Put aside everything that you've learned, all the messages that you've received from all over the place, family telling you you're too this, you're not enough that. You know what? My mom would tell me that I am too assertive. Yet at work, they used to tell me you're too passive. And I'm like, okay, well, which one am I? Because I'm the same person. And obviously, we're going to be different in different contexts. But who are you at the core? Take a moment and pause and reflect on that. And if you can't answer that, if you can't say anything besides, oh, I'm a manager, I'm a mom, I'm a friend, I'm a daughter, I'm a neighbor. If you can't say anything besides your titles, if you can't say anything besides what you do for other people, we've got a problem. We've got a problem because you're more than just your labels and titles. You're a person. You're a person, not just a professional, not just a partner, not just a parent, a person. And so, what part of you have you been holding back? Why? What part of you do you want to show up more? How can you make that happen? These are questions you need to ask yourself. And what's the fear behind showing up a certain way? It can't even, it doesn't even have to be physically like what you look like, what you wear. It could also be your mannerisms, your hands. I know I've been told to tone it down with my hands, that I use my hands too much. And I tried it, it didn't work. It was just a really watered down, boring version of me. And that's just not me. And so I reverted back. And sometimes we have to test out the waters to see if that's something that we're willing to sacrifice. For me, it wasn't. And so ask yourself, what have you been sacrificing that you shouldn't anymore? because it's not serving you and it's exhausting to have to walk around with this mask put on. So take some time to reflect on that. How do you want to show up? Have this leaderly identity, not a busy bee. Okay, the next one. We've got purpose. We all do things for a certain reason. 100% of the time, it's to avoid pain or to gain pleasure, meaning that we avoid everything that we think is not good, that is painful, that is going to make us suffer. We pursue everything that makes us feel like it's good for us, it's a good idea, it's tempting, it's something that we're interested in and that we enjoy. What's your purpose? You have to be clear on your purpose, the thing that makes you go, because your way will help you find your way. Your why will help you find your way through obstacles and challenges. I know for me, one of my biggest whys is family. And so I always ask myself, am I going to let fear get in the way, or am I going to do this for my family? So fear versus family. And they go head on, and often fear wants to take over because it's trying to protect me. And that's the thing for you, is trying to protect you from something that it's afraid of, trying to avoid that pain when really it's something that could benefit you. And if you knew how to handle hard things, you would be more likely to pursue the things that you may have some fear around. And so when you are clear on your why, nothing can hold you back, especially when, well, obviously, when you have the tools and the resources to move forward. But that hunger, that thirst, that yearning has to be strong enough. And here's the thing. I talked to this one person who thought that they were motivated by raises and promotions and bonuses. And then they realized something. I'm going to share with you. I think it's really important. It was not doing it for them anymore. They were no longer fulfilled. And it got to the point where the money they made no longer made up for the meaning they lacked. I'm going to say that again. It got to the point It got to the point where the money they made no longer made up for the meaning that they lacked at work, in their life. They were going through a midlife crisis, wondering, how did I end up this way? Looking in the mirror, seeing some wrinkles, not sure where they came from, but they've been really stressed out lately. They've been doing all the things for all the people all the time and forgetting about themselves. So you got to be clear on your purpose. Your why will help you find your way to your goals, to succeed, to move forward, to progress, to break barriers, generational cycles. Like, I'm the first one in my family to even go to high school. My parents didn't, much less get a PhD. And I wear that thing with pride. And I tell people, confidence and arrogance are not the same thing. I'm very, very secure in what I bring to the table. I want you to feel the same way. And we can do that in a way that honors our values of being collective, of being united, of wanting to help others too. That's part of being in a collectivistic culture. And so, if that's something that's of value to you, we got to honor our values. Mm, My purpose is to help other Latinos be able to progress. You got to find yours. Okay, going back to our presentation. Right. So once you figure out your values and your vision, your identity and your purpose, then you have to be clear on your skills and your strengths. So putting together all your past experiences, what's the commonality? What's the pattern that you see? When people come to you, what do you help them solve? I'll give you an example. So one time there was someone who was struggling with communication. They're like, Dr. Ojeda, I can't get through this person no matter how many times I talk to them, no matter how many different ways I put it to them. They're just not getting it. And one of my strengths is emotional intelligence. So we talked about building more self awareness because they were not aware of how they were coming across because it's more than just the words that they use. It's their tone, it's their body language, it's the way that they have their arms, whether it's like crossed like this, or if their body language is telling them, I don't like you, or like if they're rolling their eyes or making eye contact or not. Like all that plays into this communication, the dynamic, especially when it's a difficult dynamic or there's a difficult conversation occurring or things that are really critical. So get clear on what your strengths are. When people come to you, what do they ask for help with? So if someone says, hey, I've been struggling with this for a week and you solve it in 1 minute, well, you better believe that's a strength of yours. That's a skill of yours. And see, the thing is that people underestimate, undervalue what they bring to the table because it's so simple, they think, meaning that if they're able to do it so quickly and easily, then anybody should be able to do it, and therefore it's not that big of a deal, right? Mm-mm, wrong. The reason, the reason that you are so good at what you do is not because it's simple, because other people are struggling with it, and that's why they come to you. You're the go-to person for this. But because it's so simple for you, you do it quickly, easily, effectively, efficiently. That's not because it's not that hard. We just saw that it's hard for someone else. It's not that hard for you because that's your zone of brilliance. That is a skill set of yours. That's a strength. So honor that. Give it the value that it deserves. Because hey, you know what? If you don't value things that you bring to the table, why should anybody else? We are often working in the opposite direction. We think that we will value ourselves and what we bring to the table once somebody else does. Once somebody else recognizes us. Once we get that award. Once we get that raise and that promotion. Mm-mm. That's not the way it works. You have to be that person. And by being that person, you have to believe that you are that person. You are that person that brings amazing things to the table. Not wait for somebody to tell you, hey, you're amazing. You got to present yourself that way and leverage your strengths. This will help you build a lot of confidence. When you leverage your strengths, you're functioning from a place of strength, meaning you won't feel as weak. You won't hold yourself back as much. So once you got all these intact, then that's your sweet spot. This is your unique value proposition. This is your secret salsa, the thing that you do like nobody else can, the thing that makes you incomparable, indispensable, irreplaceable. And again, this is coming from a place of self assurance, confidence, not arrogance, not putting other people down and devaluing others. This is you contributing to the table of ideas because you deserve to be heard. You deserve to be heard. You bring so much to the table. Stop hiding. Stop keeping it back. Stop waiting for permission to show up. Stop feeling like you have to leave a part of who you are behind as well to be able to fit in. We have to work together to change the narrative, to change what it looks like out there in these places of leadership. And so, you know, something I'm really passionate about. If you have any questions about this, feel free to put them in the comments or just message me. If you're looking for a Hispanic Heritage, Latinx Hispanic Heritage speaker, feel free to reach out to me. I have a few spots left for this year, and I'm happy to talk about your needs and see if we can collaborate together. All right, take care.